Stop letting people make you feel guilty about being diligent in your assignment. Stop letting people throw guilt on you because you're focused or hyper-focused or what some people call obsessed with your mission. Because the reality is that mission is critical even to the people who are judging you for focusing on it. That's what we're going to talk about today when you learn how to be a money bee. I find it fascinating that bees don't like human beings. I find it fascinating that human beings breathe in oxygen and exhale carbon dioxide. I find it really fascinating that trees and plants and flowers, they take in carbon dioxide, but they put out oxygen. And the interesting, we heard, like I used to hear my parents talk about the birds and the bees, like when they were trying to keep stuff secret from us. They didn't want us to know, the birds and the bees. I'm thinking, what in the world, birds and bees? What does that have to do with anything, right? And I realized later on, after I learned how reproduction works, like reproduction in human beings and animals happens through connection. But reproduction in plants happens through a concept called pollination, right? And so it's really interesting how pollination happens. It happens because the wind blows pollen from one plant, and then it germinates in another plant, and then they reproduce. Well, did you know that only 20% of pollination happens because of wind and water? The other 80% happens because of animals and insects. So I want you to wrap your mind around that. Animals and insects. You know those bugs that we can't stand, right? Bees that we don't like. We'll use the bee as a bug that we're going to talk about today, because I don't know if you've ever been stung by a bee. Has anybody here ever been stung by a bee? Okay, a bunch of you have been stung by a bee. I remember the last time I got stung by a bee. It was probably 30-something years ago. But man, I walked to my parents' house, and I was getting ready to turn on the light, and then I felt like somebody stabbed me in the back of the neck with an ice pick. And then I fell on the floor, and I wasn't being theatrical. It knocked me down on the floor. And maybe it was because it was on the back of my neck, I don't know, but it was really, really an intense feeling. And then I saw this bee flying around. Did you see what I did to that dude? I threw him on the floor. Okay, maybe I just imagined that part of it, right? But man, I made up my mind in that moment. That bee is not going to get to go home to see mama tonight. And I chased it until I killed it. Now, I tell you that story to let you know that I don't like bees, and bees don't like me's, right? So bees don't like me, I don't like bees. So why did I tell you that? Well, because a bee, like a honeybee, that's the one that stung me, okay? That's why he's so happy, because he stung somebody, right? So the bee, doesn't like me, and I don't like the bee. Guess what the bee likes? The bee likes honey. And the bee wants to make honey, and so the bee goes out to the plant. Y'all didn't know I was an artist, did you? Huh? Talk to me now, huh? Okay, so the bee goes to the flower to get the nectar from the flower, to take it back to take it back so they can make honey in the beehive. Now, here's what's really interesting about that. The bee is focused on one thing: making the honey. The bee is focused on making the honey because that's what bees do. The bee is not focused on making the honey because the bee wants to clean up the environment. The bee's not focusing on making the honey because the bee cares about all the other bees. The bee is just focused on making the honey because that's what bees were put here for. They are on their assignment. How many of y'all tracking? Let me hear you say I'm tracking. And so while the bee goes to get the nectar, it disturbs the plant, and this pollen goes off, and it germinates another plant, and then more plants grow. Well, while these plants are growing, what they're doing is they're taking in carbon dioxide, which is what we exhale, and they're putting out oxygen, which is what we inhale. So because the bee is looking out for the bee, who's the bee looking out for? Because the bee is looking out for the bee and looking to make some honey, while the bee is working on what the bee is working on for the bee is disturbing the plant, causing pollination and cross-pollination through a concept called perturbation. Perturbation, like perturbation. Perturbation. What is perturbation? Perturbation is the disturbance that happens as a result of doing the things we're doing. There's no such thing as going into an environment and producing something without creating some byproducts. Those byproducts are the perturbation. Like sawdust is the perturbation of like being a carpenter. Are y'all tracking? The scripture says, where no oxen is, the crib is clean. But there's much increase by the strength of the ox. What is it saying? It's saying, like, if you don't have any oxen, then the manger, the barn, is going to be clean. It's not going to stink. It's not going to have cow dung all over the place. But you're not going to get much work done. See, work creates disturbance. Production creates perturbation. And we have to understand that, see, the government and the media would have us to believe that somehow entrepreneurs and business people are these evil people that are only looking out for number one, and that's one of the things that makes them evil. They should want to pay more in taxes. That's what the government would have us to believe, right? They should, Hollywood wants us to believe that entrepreneurs are criminals. In fact, in the United States of America, this is a fact. This is not hyperbole. In the United States of America, at least, by the time a child turns 18 years of age, they will have seen more people murdered on television and in movies by entrepreneurs and business people and businesses for profit than by any other category of human beings, including career criminals. Like if you look at the Mission Impossible movies, the Mission Impossible movies are always trying to keep this person who's got this big evil corporation from creating something that they don't care is going to destroy people's lives or destroy the world. That's the theme of the movies. Why? Because Hollywood in the 1970s decided to declare war on business. Prior to that, in the 1960s, business people were portrayed like Ward Cleaver as upstanding citizens who take care of their families by going to work every day, right? But not anymore. The average American, by the time they turn 18 years of age, will have seen at least, everybody say at least 10,000 people killed, murdered on television. That's not how many they've seen killed and murdered. That's how many they've seen killed by business owners and entrepreneurs. How crazy is that? No wonder when our children grow up, they've been subconsciously programmed to believe there's something wrong with business, so everybody wants to go off to college to do environmental studies and this studies and that studies, and nobody wants to be an entrepreneur. At least most young people don't want to be entrepreneurs because they've been programmed on a subconscious level to believe that it's evil. But the reality is, when you look out for number one, your perturbation is going to produce like sustainability, and I don't mean it in the environmental sense of the word. It's going to produce sustainability for the people who those byproducts impact their lives. Now, I don't know about you, but that makes me really excited. And now, I personally, you can do whatever you want to do. I think it's good to give charity. I give charity. Notice I didn't say I give back to charity. I give to charity. I'm not giving back to the charity because I didn't get anything from the charity in the first place, right? So I'm just giving to the charity. And when I don't even like the phrase giving back. Every time somebody says giving back, it always makes me cringe a little bit. Because the implication is that I took something away in order to have what I have, and I didn't take something away. I actually created something in order to have what I have. So when I'm giving, I'm not giving back, I'm just giving. I learned that from Rabbi Daniel Lapin, by the way, in his book, Thou Shalt Prosper, which I think everybody deserves to read, as well as Business Secrets from the Bible by the same author. Now, so I believe in giving, but I also believe that the work I do produces byproducts that make other people's lives better. Now, today's Wednesday, and it's raining today, but usually on Wednesday, my car wash people, they come and they wash my car here because I don't drive it very often. And so, that particular car, they come here to the office and they wash it, right? They're not washing it today because it's raining. Doesn't make sense to wash a car in the rain. I think you get that already. But when I was poor, I didn't have car wash people who washed my car. Now, my other cars, we've got the automatic car wash things that cost $20 a month for all three of them. So we got three cars that we have that's $60 a month for those three cars. And then $100 a week, which is about $400 a month for the other car. So I'm paying $520 a month to get my car washed. When I was poor, you know how much I paid to wash my car? Nothing. I didn't wash them. They were raggedy cars. What's washing this thing going to do? It's got 2 different colored doors on it, right? What am I going to wash it for? Like, I'm just keeping it real. Like, the thought, granted, maybe I would wash, if I had a halfway decent car, I would wash that. But I'm talking about when I was really poor, when I used to buy cars for $50, I didn't wash them at all. The thought to wash a car, the car existed it was totally utilitarian for me at that time. Are y'all tracking? So nobody benefited from me having a car when I was poor but me. Are y'all tracking? But now that I'm wealthy and I have a car, the car dealerships that I bought my cars benefit from. Those same dealerships benefit when I take my car to get it serviced. My car wash people benefit. Mogul Mats that I bought my custom floor mats and my custom pillows for my car from, they benefit. Why? Because when you produce more, the byproducts that you produce are also more. The perturbation that you create is also more. So God programmed the bee to like the honey and to work for the honey. But while the bee's working for the honey, the perturbation of the plant creates more plant life, which keeps us humans alive so we can keep chasing the bees with fly swatters and raid. Are y'all tracking? Now, why am I saying this? Because just like God made the bee to want the honey, God didn't make us to be honeybees. God made us as human beings to be money bees. And so I want some money. Why? Because so I can impress my wife, right? I want some money so I can do nice things for her, and because I care about her. I want money so I can leave an inheritance to my children and my children's children. I want money so I can have a building to shoot my YouTube videos in instead of just having to do it in my spare bedroom in my house. My spare bedroom in my house was fine, but when I was doing my YouTube videos in my spare bedroom in my house, y'all wasn't coming. Right? So you see the perturbation, you see how by me working to build things for me, it provides opportunity for all the people on our team to have work, plus all the vendors that they spend money with. It provides income for them and revenue for those businesses. So when you decide you're going to go get some money, yes, you're looking out for number 1, but when you're looking out for number 1, it takes care of number 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And there are so many people who benefit when people have a high level of self-interest. Everybody say self-interest. Now, I know the cultural hypnotic societal mechanism would have us to believe that all self-interest is selfish. But I submit to you that most self-interest is not selfish. Really? What does that mean? Well, I live in a house, right? Why? Because I don't want to sleep under a bridge. Right? That's not selfish, that's self-interest. But guess what? Because I have a house and my house has a pool, the pool company that cleans my pool can give a guy a job and now he can take care of his family. The landscape company that takes care of my yard, those people now have revenue so they can hire people. And the more you produce as a human being, as a money bee, the more perturbation you create, and the more perturbation you create, the more people's lives you make better. And in fact, I'll say this, an entrepreneur who produces a lot of wealth and a lot of byproducts as a result of producing that wealth will do more good in the world incidentally than a lot of broke people who knows how those rich people should be spending their money do intentionally. I know that's a lot, ain't it? Because that was a really long run-on sentence. Right? But I ain't playing, right? I already know that me taking care of Myron and Myron's people blesses people that I will never meet. And the more, this is real, y'all, when I was broke, I didn't need an estate planning lawyer. I didn't have an estate. I just lived in a state. Right? So much stuff happens for other people that you will never meet when you do better. So Myron, what am I saying? I'm saying be a money bee. Be a money bee. You should be a money bee. I should be a money bee. Everybody should be a money bee. Because when we become money bees that produce more money, like the bees that produce more honey, our perturbation makes other people's lives better. So don't ever again, as long as we both shall live, let anybody make you feel guilty because you're on a mission, because you're focused. you're so obsessed. All you care about is money. Well, it ain't all I care about, but I want to get that one straight. I like what Jim Rohn said. Jim Rohn said, he said, money isn't the most important thing in life, but when you get the money problem handled fairly early, you can get to the rest of your problems in style. Right? And so what we want to do is we want to make sure that we're focused on doing better, because the better each of us do, watch this now, the better all of us can do. If you want to learn how to create more wealth and be a money bee, I've got several videos on YouTube that will help you do that. One of them is Get Rich Quick. Another one is How to Live Like a Millionaire on Your Way to Becoming One. How about Wiser, Wealthier, and More Well-Known is another one. Those are some videos on YouTube that you can watch that will help take your life and your business to the next level. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for doing all the YouTube stuff and ringing the notification bell. And I'll look forward to seeing all of you on the next video. Thanks a lot.